Welcome to the Roost News, the place for all things volunteer. I am Lillian Lee, co-lead for the Roost News. The topic today is Digital Literacy Charlotte, Tech Titans 50 Plus. Thank you for joining us today. We have some very special guests, and I'm excited because it's some of my North Carolina colleagues. Many of you know that North Carolina has 5 regions, and one of the regions is Charlotte. The guests today are from Charlotte. We have Rebecca Gilbert, Pat Battle, and Roger Pierce. Before we start telling their story of the digital literacy, we want them to share a little about their position, why they're with AARP, and their passion. So Rebecca, we're going to start with you. You are the Associate State Director.
Thank you. My name is Rebecca Gilbert, and I am the Associate State Director of Advocacy and Outreach for AARP North Carolina. I've been at the North Carolina office for about 1.5 years and have been with AARP for about 5.5 years. And I'm passionate about helping older adults and everybody to live their best lives in the community.
Thank you. Pat.
Hey, everyone. I'm Pat Battle, volunteer in the Charlotte region. I have been volunteering since 2017, so about 6 years. And as well as being a local volunteer in the Charlotte region, I'm also on the Executive Council, which is a wonderful position to be in, where I get to work more on the state level with advocacy and community support and just doing things for older adults. Real excited to be here and talking with you today.
Thank you. Roger.
Hi, well, thanks, Lillian. It's really great to be here with you all today. So I'm Roger Pierce. I am a volunteer in the Charlotte region, just like Pat. And similar to Pat, I'm also on the state's Executive Council. And I've been doing that for probably about half a year now on the Executive Council. But I've been a volunteer here with our Charlotte region for AARP for about 4 years. My passion as a volunteer has been, since I joined, in educating the over 50 plus community in our area here with the many different kinds of workshops that we offer. And we typically do these in the local libraries and senior centers. I come from a career in healthcare. So one of my kind of a natural affinity on one of the workshops I love doing, and I think you might do them also, Lillian. I think I might have heard that rumor. Brain health. And yeah. I love doing workshops on brain health. I've done many on fraud as well. So educating and helping others, 50 plus community, that's been my passion. And it's kind of an extension from my career as well that I came from.
Wow, thank you all so much. You have a lot to offer for the Charlotte region. And I consider Pat and Roger as lead volunteers for the Charlotte region. So thank you all for joining this podcast. So let's get started. Okay, you have this program called Digital Literacy Charlotte, Tech Titans 50 Plus. There's a lot to say, but it sounds really wonderful. Why or how did you decide to even implement this program? Did you look in Charlotte and the surrounding counties and say, oh my gosh, all these 50 plus age people need some support with technology? Why this program?
I can start. The inspiration behind the program was that in 2022, 2023, as a result of COVID, the county got a federal grant as part of a COVID relief fund that went to a lot of city and county and state governments to do a laptop giveaway. They gave away in 2023 20,000 laptops from January to June of this year based on need. And the problem is that they gave away all these laptops and then people didn't know how to use them. They kept the laptops in the box. And a lot of those folks were even our volunteers who told their stories to me about how they got this opportunity and they didn't know what to do with it because there wasn't any senior specific or senior geared digital literacy training in Charlotte. So we took that idea and that immediate need, plus the information that there were a lot of people who weren't even able to get a hold of these laptops because the supply was less than the demand. So there were a lot of people who needed to learn how to use computers who didn't have them, and people who had computers who didn't know how to use those. So we took that kind of immediate problem as the inspiration behind this project.
Okay, great. Wow. So from what I heard you say, you have maybe two groups, those who already had personal laptops that were given to them, and then other volunteers, community people who don't have a laptop given to them, but they're also going to be a part of the training. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so you have your program pretty much set. And when I was reading about it, there was mention of partnerships. How many partners were you able to ask or say yes to you to be a partner in this particular program? Talk to me a little bit about your partnerships.
I can start, and then Pat and Roger can jump in.
Okay.
We reached out initially to some of the partners who originally worked on that laptop giveaway program called MechTech. So that was the Mecklenburg County, where Charlotte is, library system, as well as Queen's University, which houses the Center for Digital Equity. And we chatted with them, and they said that we've been wanting to do this, but we don't have enough volunteers who are willing to teach courses. We don't know what kind of material to teach. We don't have the capacity to build this out. And since we have such an amazing volunteer base in Charlotte, who have a vast array of training and qualifications and passion, we knew that we kind of had the missing link to help solve their problem and the problem we noticed in the community.
Okay, great.
Pat, Roger, anything to add?
So yes, I mean, each of the partners that Rebecca just covered offer something to the program.
Okay.
We, of course, with manpower and woman power, our volunteer power, that's our superpower as AARP, as well as Charlotte Mecklenburg Library, their facilities and the resources that they offer. And then the Center for Digital Equity, again, their resources as they are connected with getting information out to the community. So those three things are just a recipe for success for us helping build this program.
Okay. Roger, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I would like to add that the beauty of this program is that it's seniors teaching seniors.
Oh, okay.
And so we developed well, I shouldn't say we developed the content. The content of the actual classes comes from Senior Planet, which is an affiliate, of course, with AARP. And so it was just the perfect partnership, another partnership with this group of partnerships. It was a great partnership to approach them and let them know what we were doing. And they said, perfect, we've got the computer basics, or what they call computer essentials, and also iPad essentials, 2 different classes.
Okay.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little while, but I just wanted to just touch on that.
Wonderful.
But the cool thing about it is it's seniors teaching seniors.
Okay.
And so we went through a training about that. Yeah.
Great. Well, it sounds like it's a win-win situation with your partners. And if I heard you correctly, you have the digital literacy, the Senior Planet, you have the library, and what was the fourth partner?
And the Senior Planet.
Senior Planet. Okay.
Yeah.
So great. So it seems that you didn't have to say, give a lot of input to the partners, begging them. They wanted to be a part of this initiative, and that's really important. That's a success story in the making when you have partners that want to be a part of the program. So you have your program pretty much laid out, and I understand it's starting in October. It's just but October 2nd, so it may not have started yet. But the training component, I hear you say seniors training seniors. So the ones who are the trainers, can they come in and say, oh, I know a lot about technology, I don't need to go through the training? Or are they required to go through a specific training in order to be a part of this program?
Yeah, there's a Train the Trainer program that's led by Senior Planet,
Mhm.
and all seniors who want to be trainers have to go through the 5-week session. Pat and Roger did it. It ends with a mini training that you
Mm.
lead for your peers at the end. And honestly, we prefer not to have, tech experts lead
Okay,
these trainings. As the goal is seniors teaching seniors who are peers.
good.
Um, if you're, moderately proficient, but maybe want to improve your skills and kind of learn a little bit and then, teach other older adults what you've learned.
Mhm.
That's kind of the goal, right?
Okay,
We want people to feel comfortable. We want it to feel approachable. And that's what's so great about the Senior Planet curriculum is that it's not scary, it's not intimidating,
okay.
and you get to learn from your peers at a pace and in a way that makes sense to you.
Okay. Can one of you all share a little bit about the curriculum?
You want to go, Roger?
Yeah, sure. So we have 2 choices that we're starting off with this quarter, and we were kind of looking at this as sort of a pilot because we do want to do this again in the first quarter of next year.
Okay.
So for this quarter, for this 5-week period of classes, we're going to be training. We've chosen 2, and now one of them is Computer Essentials,
Mhm.
and the other is iPad Essentials.
Okay.
And it is, when I say essential, it is really essential but basic. And we want to start everybody off on the same level in the classrooms. Of course, there are some people who are coming from different experiences of their own with the way they may be using computers now. And we understand that.
Mhm.
But the way that the course is laid out in the content, it's so that we start off everybody with we literally start with turning on the power button and go from there.
Okay.
We
Mhm. Very
and
good.
it might be boring for a few people in that class, but not everybody.
Sure.
And that's the beauty of, we just keep on going through the basic steps, let
Mhm.
everybody start the same way.
Mhm.
And so just those 2 classes is what we've chosen so far, those 2
Okay,
types of
great.
classes.
Great. I think that's important for the audience to know the 2 classes that you're starting with in case they're interested in pursuing a program of this magnitude. So you have your program set out, you have your trainers, and you've trained your trainers. The participants, I know you mentioned something about those who already had laptops, they're part of your participant base. Where else are you getting your participants from? Is it a limited number of participants, or where are you getting your participants?
Pat, I'll let you go on that.
I can,
Yeah.
yeah, you go,
Go
Pat.
ahead, Rebecca, if you want to. I mean, we have so many I guess roads that lead to this program where we're getting folks in
Good.
to it. I can even think for myself, word of mouth is one of the biggest as well. But we have a marketing program, and then Rebecca, you could probably speak to the specifics of that, where we have our AARP North Carolina team working real hard behind the scenes, making sure we get out the information by press release, postcards. Our postcard program was amazing, and we got amazing results from that. And even myself, I received a postcard, which was great. So it kind of drove the message home into it, that it is getting to the folks out in the Charlotte region, and it was specific to certain zip codes that we want to make sure that we hit the underserved communities of Charlotte. And I think we did just that. And Rebecca, you could probably give a little more detail into the registration, but we are really excited about our response as well.
Right.
Yeah, and our goal with our communications and marketing approach was to communicate with people who are likely to not be digitally literate, who live in underserved communities in the Charlotte area. And we worked with the data analytics group at AARP to run some numbers and identify folks who are in those communities based on a variety of factors like socioeconomic status and models that predict the likelihood of being less digitally literate.
Mhm.
And we reached out to those folks and also worked with AARP Maps to come up with kind of like heat maps to
Right.
identify the regions of the people in the community who are less likely to be able to have and use a computer. And so we ran those models to identify where we were going to hold our digital literacy trainings, because they're at the libraries,
Okay.
and also which people to reach out via direct mail, via print advertisement, radio advertisement. And one aspect that's been really helpful to our outreach is utilizing the non-emergency line 311, where we have digital navigators on staff to help people fill out forms to either register for our kickoff event on October 10th or to register for the classes that start the week of October 23rd. So all of those materials, particularly the print materials, they have a unique QR code. So we're able to identify the number of people who scan those codes to sign up for events, so we can kind of in real time evaluate which form of print material worked the best or is working the best. And so that's part of how we're kind of evaluating what works best and how we're laying out our, I guess, marketing approach.
Okay, well, that's wonderful. So you're going to have probably participants for the next session then, because, well, I don't know, you didn't tell me, is there a limit to the number of participants for this particular session?
Yeah, so we're holding probably about 4 sessions, still confirming 4 5-week classes that each take place twice a week at different targeted libraries that hit our demographics. And each of those classes have a cap of 14 participants.
Okay.
We are playing with the idea of having some one-off lectures for folks who might not get into the 5-week classes this time around, that have a cap of 30 participants each. And then our goal through this pilot is, again, kind of to test and learn which library locations work the best, which classes work the best, or what people need. And then starting in the beginning of next year, we're going to, ramp up the number of classes that we offer, the types of classes that we offer, and locations and times as well. So we're really going to utilize the feedback of participants to make sure that this program is as effective as possible.
Wonderful. Wow, you have a lot going on and a lot of participants. So it's good that you're thinking ahead and knowing that you have more than just the allotted number, and you found something else for them to participate in. That's a part of your program itself, or was that a separate component of the program?
I mean, it's part of the program itself.
Great.
We're trying to, because, it's attending a class twice a week for 5 weeks is a big commitment. And sometimes folks work part-time or full-time or have other volunteer obligations and hobbies. So you want to make sure to cater to everyone so they have the ability to learn in the way that it fits their schedule and their lifestyle.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. You've
That's part of
answered,
the pilot process.
a couple of things that I was thinking about. I was going to ask you with the program participants, what are you looking for feedback from your participants? What would you like to hear that would make you say, oh, wow, this was worth it? What do you want to hear from your participants at the end of this program?
Well, I would say, for one thing, I would like to hear them say, now I know how to get email.
Okay.
We
That's
all
great.
take it for
That's
granted.
a basic, yes.
Sure, because don't we all take something like that for granted? I have neighbors in my own neighborhood who cannot get emails or don't know how to receive emails from our local HOA association, to talk about social activities that are going on in our own neighborhoods.
Wonderful.
And they're missing out on that.
That's
So that's a basic thing that is part of the computer essentials, and I'm so glad it is. How about knowing how to search for things using Google or other search engines?
Okay.
That's another thing that's a part of the class. Yeah.
Okay. So Pat, when it's all over, what is something you want to hear from your participants?
Along the same lines as what Roger talked about, now I can access my health information online from my doctor.
Okay.
Now I can communicate about various benefits and services that I can apply for. Those are the things I know of myself as a senior that I often maybe take for granted because I do know how to access this information online, but there are a ton of individuals out there that just that small piece, just being able to see what's on my chart and understand what what was the result from their doctor, and to look at their blood pressure or track it. Something as simple as that keeps them up to date, keeps them engaged with their health, and keeps our seniors, active and engaged in their lives, in their own lives, and being able to have control and independence. So I think it's a big part of where we're going. And also the program, I believe, also builds skills, because oftentimes as seniors, there is the understanding that perhaps we still aren't able to build our skills at this age. And yes, we can. And so seniors teaching seniors, we understand about pace and patience. And so I think it's going to be an amazing program for us to be a part of.
Great feedback. And Rebecca, you're the Associate State Director. What are you going to share with your colleagues as the other ASDs? What do you want to tell them about your program at the end? Pretending it's the end, okay?
Increased confidence is key.
Okay.
I want participants to be increasingly confident in how they communicate online on their computers, feel like they're more connected to their communities, their loved ones, their friends. And I want people to feel confident to learn more. Ideally through this program, we're starting with these essential classes, and we want to move people up the ladder of being increasingly digitally literate. So we want people to keep learning, and lifelong learning is also something that's really important to your brain health as you get older. So as much as we can promote that and increase people's confidence in their use of technology, I think that's a major win. Yeah. I'll definitely communicate that to the other ASDs in North Carolina and across the AARP organization as something potentially other states or communities can replicate.
Wonderful, wonderful. And as we look at the successes of your program, and by what you all are telling me, I know this program will be successful. We can see it down the road, but we want to also think about, and you touched on a little bit, the assessment part. Do you have a written assessment? How are you going to assess the results of your program?
Yeah, our plan is to have an assessment that, or a questionnaire rather, that participants take that has similar questions that they take twice at the beginning of the session and at the end. So we can compare their responses and measure change that way.
Good idea.
Senior Planet also has an evaluation that people complete as well. But hopefully through the comparison of those questions and their feedback, we can measure success. We're also going to measure success by people's return rate, or the number of folks who sign up for subsequent classes in the beginning of 2024 and beyond.
Okay, great.
I'd like to add to that. As far as feedback, we also are going to be having feedback about halfway through the program from our own trainers. We feel that's really important as well, because we want to see what their own experience was, what they've learned from it, so they can apply it to the future when they want to do some more training. For example, in the next quarter, we're hoping we're going to have most of the same trainers, if not all, but we want to have some new ones as well. And so we are talking about another set of training classes, training the trainer. So that's coming up shortly. And so we want to see if there are more volunteers who want to get into that as well, so they can be part of next quarter as well. But the feedback from the trainers is a key thing as well.
Definitely. That's great. That's great. Well, you have a great story going on. I mean, you developed this program, you have your trainers, you have your participants. you have your partners, and you've even started thinking about the assessment part, how you're going to determine whether or not this was a beneficial program to your participants. So as I think about this, I congratulate you on having this program, and thank you for sharing it with other AARP staff and volunteers. And I will say to them, if you're interested in learning more about this particular program, reach out to the Associate State Director for Charlotte, Rebecca Gilbert. I know you all know how to get up with your colleagues in AARP land. So reach out and Rebecca will talk with you, or either Pat or Roger. Now, as we think about this program, a lot going on, very fluid. It's not, I think you said training October 10th, is that correct? Something like that? And the program starts at the end of the month. Wow. So you have a little more time to develop. Is that it? Are you still working on it, or is everything in place now?
Well, we still have some scheduling that we
Okay.
are working on. Absolutely.
Okay.
This is not a perfect pilot, but you know how pilots are.
Right. That's the
But
key,
we do
pilot.
have, yes, I keep premising that, yes. But we have some amazing folks who are vested in this.
Okay.
And with that, you know, with patients, I think the great thing about being a senior and having senior volunteers on this, helping this, we
Mhm.
all know that it takes time, it takes planning, and it will all come to fruition. So I'm encouraged about it. Will
Right.
be a great program, but that's the great thing. We have to work out the bugs, and then
Right.
Q1, I know we will be on a straight trajectory for success. So yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we're going to slowly bring this podcast to closure. But before we end, I always like to ask the guests, is there anything else you'd like to share about your program that you want the audience to hear about, that maybe you just sort of overlooked in saying that's important to the audience? Anything else that Pat, Roger, or Rebecca that you would like to share?
Who wants to go first?
Roger, anything else you would
Sure.
like to share?
Sure. You know, my own experience in teaching the many of the brain health workshops, we talk about, as you know, 6 pillars of brain health, and one of them has to do with socialization,
Right.
and also part of that is really having a sense of independence. And one of the statistics I'll never forget from one of the slides from that presentation on brain health has to do with the effects of isolation and loneliness. And one beautiful thing about these courses is that we're going to be teaching people how to access what's online, especially social media.
Okay.
You know, for seniors, Facebook is used. You know, we might hear the younger folks talking about Instagram and X, or what used to be, you know, what it used to
Twitter,
be.
yes.
Yeah. But Facebook is still used, and more so, I think, by seniors. And so we want to also show them how to get online and see their family members in other states. And that helps with the isolation aspect of it as well, the
Very good.
socialization.
Yes.
So that's another part of it that is a great benefit, I think.
Anyone else? If not, we're going to bring closure and say thank you to my Charlotte team. All right, it's wonderful when I can interview my colleagues in North Carolina. And I want to say to the AARP staff and volunteers who are listening, please like us on this podcast, give us feedback, comments. Hopefully something you have heard today will help you decide how you want to implement digital literacy in your community. It's very important. This is also a part of AARP National's focus is digital literacy. So please check us out on the Roots News podcast on YouTube, as well as on your favorite audio podcast station. Thank you again to Rebecca, Pat, and Roger. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lillian.